Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Romain Casella, and I'm very pleased and honored to moderate this panel as part of the Rising Talents program, which is actually welcoming Germany this season at Maison&Objet. Germany has long played a defining role in the global design landscape, with the Bauhaus, for instance, but also through movements such as the Werkbund. But equally, its deep culture of technical craft and its reputation for functionality and precision. This season, Maison&Objet is shining a light on a new generation of designers who are building on these foundations whilst rethinking them through experimentation, education, new processes. Today's conversation is about opening up a space for reflection and exchange. How are today's German designers navigating heritage, material innovation, global challenges, and changing values? Let me briefly introduce our speakers. So to my right, we have Friedrich Gerlach, Berlin-based designer working at the intersection of science and design using experimental materials. Anne-Sophie Oberkrome and Lisa Ertel from Studio OE, a Berlin-based duo working across furniture, objects, and teaching with a focus on material storytelling and dialogue. Lutz Dietzold, CEO of the German Design Council, supporting the growth and visibility of German design nationally and internationally. And a special thought for Carsten Wiewiorra, who couldn't join us today due to unexpected personal reasons. So let's begin with some reflections on design values and context. And I would like to start by asking questions to all the panelists tonight. So, like I mentioned, Germany has a strong heritage in design up to today's sustainable and socially driven practices. I wanted to ask you how does this legacy, this heritage, sort of relate to your work today? So, actually, perhaps, Lutz, you could start by telling us a little bit about that.
Yeah, yes. I'm not really the young generation of German designers, so it's a bit difficult, but we build platforms for designers. So actually the German Design Council was founded in 1953, even to concentrate, to focus on the business factor of design. And we're doing this with a, big network of companies, mostly producing companies. But what we also do from the beginning on is to promoting young designers. And even building the platform is for us important, even to connect young designers with the industry, to open opportunities for them. But also it is important, I think, for the industry, and being here at the consumer goods fairs like Maison&Objet, you see that it's important for the manufacturers even to get in contact with the new designers, which are really exploring in the fields of circular design, of solutions for in the times of transformation, but also the social impact of design is becoming more and more important.
And is this relating to the heritage of German design in general, do you feel? Like, is this something you're kind of promoting through the support of the new generation, and how?
Yes, I would say yes. Coming back to the Bauhaus, there comes another aspect which is very important even today. It was very international, the Bauhaus. There came students from all over the world, and even finding solutions for the world. And I think working in international cooperations, we are facing a lot of very hard challenges for the futures, and we can solve it only if we collaborate internationally and find solutions. And design is a key player in that for me.
What about you, Friedrich? How do you relate to the sort of heritage from? Does it work?
So I studied at the Bauhaus University in Weimar, and if you were there, you couldn't even hear the word Bauhaus anymore because it was so, people couldn't hear it anymore. But I think there's still some things what today, when you study there, are similar. So we are working with a lot of new technologies, and this was also something in the Bauhaus was also happening with the steel pipe furniture. And I think in these days there might be more bacteria or new production methods, 3D printing, whatever, but we have to adapt to this. And I think this is something I could relate to as well.
And what about you?
Yeah, I think we feel the same, and I think it's super nice that you already mentioned that Bauhaus was especially above all a school, which is super important because it's also connected to a style, kind of, or some people think it's like a production site, but in the end it was a school, and that's something what was also super important for us because we studied in Karlsruhe, and the school was so important because the voices, or there was a variety of voices which taught us. So we were glad to learn from figures such as fashion designers Bless or artist Hansjörg Meyer-Eichen, and also architect Volker Albus, for example. So it was a diverse context, and not everyone was in the realm of classic product design. So this was super important for us. And Volker Albus, for example, was a known figure in the Neues Deutsches Design, which was also important in Germany in the 80s. And maybe we can also relate to that or connect with that because they are also questioning a lot, also experimenting a lot, and finding new ways in industrial methods, for example.
Yeah, and maybe to add, when it comes to German design, a lot of our projects are placed within a specific sense of place, genius loci, so to say. So we did.
Sorry, what?
Genius loci, like a special spirit of a place.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So
which is part of your ethos as a studio, right?
Exactly. And
the environment.
Yeah, and those places are often like located in Germany. So slate craft at the Mosel, or farming at Lake Constance, or things like that. So you could also call that in a way German design because it's based on German traditions or regional material and so on. But it doesn't really fit with this label because people often have a certain style or something in mind when they hear German design, and it's not exactly our approach, I guess. Yeah.
And you, Friedrich, you're working with experimental processes, so kind of like playing around the fields of science and design. How do you manage to actually make science accessible through design?
There are different examples, but what you see here is a project I did together with Julia Hunholz as our bachelor thesis. And there we showcase the new material, we read a lot about it and was in the world for just quite some times, but it was in the scientist world. And we thought, let's take it out from there, take it out of the labs and make it possible that other people see we can do it as designers, so also other bigger companies, bigger players can do it as well. So this was our approach, and then we really dove into this project, contacted different designers, and not designers, scientists over the world, and worked together with people from South Africa, and really tried to connect this knowledge and then build up on this on our own and making it accessible. So we then created a biocement chair, which showcases how the bacteria grow together different particles of the raw material. And
can you clarify this a little bit?
Yeah, okay.
That's very
I didn't know how
No,
much time I had. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it will interest everyone.
Okay. So what the bacteria do, they took particles, and usually this is done with sand. But sand has always the problem. We get less of it each year, so we have to switch to different materials. And therefore, we collected all bricks, broke them down into small particles, and then we grew bacteria. And the bacteria, they can grow essentially on waste streams. So they use food waste streams, they grow on urine, and you feed them, and then you put them between the granulate. And in the granulate, they form with calcium chloride, so this is what you actually put in the winter on the streets to get the ice away. They form a solid, and this everything happens at room temperature. So there's no extensive firing process happening, which emits a lot of energy, like with cement or other mineralic things we use in the building construction industry. And this was our approach to try it once, and then the bacteria form inside a small cocoon, and they connect the small granulates, and there are millions of them in this piece, and afterwards they just die. And we, at the moment, we think, okay, there are bacteria in there. This is nothing we want to touch, but we have bacteria everywhere, and they are part of our life. So you're never without bacteria, and these are just helpful bacteria what were found in the environment, and then just used for a different purpose. And I think it's interesting because the world already has a lot of waste and possibilities.
And actually, is it a story that you tell, like the people who discover your pieces, and like, is it part of the storytelling that accompany your design in general?
Yes. We then, with this object, we did go to different fairs, had different talks, and really tried to spread the word as far as possible, to also invite other people to join into it, and also made a book to look into how to grow the bacteria by yourself and so on.
So storytelling, which is something quite key, obviously, for the emerging scene to be able to convey, the story behind your new ways of presenting design. So, for instance, Lutz, is it something that you're, supporting the talents with in terms of telling the story of what German design is today and will be tomorrow?
Yes. I think it was discussing 1 week ago with a German furniture producer, no names here, but about the question, what is German design? And it was about functionality, and we came from the Bauhaus and went to Dieter Rams and Braun and so, and he asked, what is today? And I said, okay, maybe if we don't find it anymore like the strong German design, which maybe is a brand, like a brand, but it's also kind of surface. But maybe you will find it today from industrial designers in the field of B2B, big machines, so you can see it, but you can't see it anymore on tabletop in furniture so much, because there's more diversity in the world, let's say, maybe keep it simple. But when it comes to circular design, I would say I see so much solutions from young designer. Maybe this is a task where German design in a way stands for, and young German designers. So we switch it a bit. We have to switch it, but we have also to do our public relations for it. Huh? It's another task we have to do, I think. Communicate it. Yeah, and then to publish and to convince. And this is our main task, really, to talk with the industry. And it's a hard way, and it's difficult, but there are a lot of companies that are very open to it. And yeah, if it comes to materials, it's also a challenge of scaling. So Yes, we have have Covestro in our foundation, and we are talking how we can sell. We have a material here which we have produced only some examples, but how we can scale it, and this is our task to bring them together.
The commercial viability of
Yes.
these new experiences. But actually, if we go back to the storytelling, which you were clarifying, at the German Design Council level, Studio, you're actually, the storytelling is really important for you. Can you tell us a little bit more to what extent this takes a big part in the way you think and design?
Yeah, I guess before telling stories, we start to listen. And yeah, we listen to people, to places, to, yeah. So I guess our projects never start in a vacuum. And maybe to give you one example,
We love examples.
I could talk a bit about the farm project we did together with a group of fellow designers and artists.
Okay.
Most important to mention is Haus Otto, who are also part of the Rising Talents Award.
Mm-hmm.
And we spent for 1 year in each season some time at the farm and in the south of Germany, and lived and worked with the people there. And
For how long, sorry?
it was over 1 year in
Okay.
each seasons for some days, sometimes a week, sometimes less, sometimes more.
Okay, so it was like a community of designers
Exactly.
coming together.
Yeah, but it
Very
was really
interesting.
like not designing with the context, but within it. So
Okay.
we learned a lot from the farmers, from the animals, from the soil, and yeah, then we started our own projects. They were about like circular productions or alternative or traditional ways of using resources.
Okay.
And yeah, it was really special because also like at the end when we presented our work, it was not it was an open field. It wasn't like a institutional surrounding. So the people who came were neighbors or farmers or a lot of children who asked a lot of questions and weren't afraid of just using the objects we created. So that was a really nice for us to rethink how we see our...
So your environment really impacted the way you sort of were thinking about like everyday objects, or like what was kind of like, what was it inspiring you to design, for instance?
Yeah, different things, I would say, like also the way you talk about, like the storytelling again, no? When children ask you like really like honest questions,
Yeah.
and
The most difficult questions, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you have to think about how
You're
you
gonna
tell
say
them,
something
actually.
clever
Yeah.
that a kid is gonna be
Yeah.
able to understand.
But also in a sense of how we use our resources and how we, like, it was really interesting for us because a farm is like also a kind of a closed production site.
Okay.
So it's not like often like in the industry, it's so complex that it's hard to get the whole parts of one production, and there it's clearer, and that helps to understand and to also then scale it in a way to other projects, or to be clear in how you understand your own praxis.
This kind of leads me to the idea of collaboration. You know, this what the project you're talking about. Don't know to what extent collaboration, was part of it, but there's really this idea of community and therefore collaboration. It's an important topic in today's, design world on a global scale, and I was interested to understand at your different level, whether we're talking institutional, educational, at studio level, like how important is collaboration to your work, to your thinking of design for today and for tomorrow. So perhaps Friedrich, you could start to tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, for me it's really important. So almost all of my projects are happening in collaboration, even with the manufacturer or with other people, with scientists, with institutes. And I think then we had it already in the beginning, getting rid of these barriers. Also in school, have just a workshop, open everything up and just go into the world, look what new technologies are there, and then start working with them. And at these days, we have to understand them, we have to see them, we have to be there to get inspired, and we also have to hear from the problems the manufacturer have at their side, and then we can also implement this into our design.
So is this something that you did at university level, or is it something you actually initiated?
So, for instance, I can talk about this project, what you see here in the background. This was a project we initiated with 4 people, and there we got to additive tectonics. This is a 3D printing company, and they have at the moment the world's fastest 3D printer. And we said, yeah, we want to use their technology and see what's possible at this fast level. What can we do with it? Just essentially playing around, but with something in mind that we want to have an outcome. And then we saw, okay, for the printer, it doesn't make any difference if it's printing a whole bed, which is filled, or if we just put one small cube in it. So for me, it was directly clear, I want to fill the printer up until it's fully stacked to make it more efficient. And also this, then, yeah, you can see in the form at the end of the product again.
And this resulted from your collaboration with the technical experts to lead to this result. Is that correct?
Yes, okay. Yes. And then we showcased their material with new product on the fair in Prague, and now here, and also in other locations. Yeah.
And so this is basically part of like the DNA of the way you work, right?
Yes.
If I'm correct.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm digging with more and more questions.
Okay. Yeah,
right,
because
okay.
I think it's, for me, it's really interesting to go to look at new technologies and try to create in a way these technologies are meant to. So, and then start from there and then creating objects what are possible, maybe only with these technologies, and yeah, come up through this with new ideas.
And so, Lutz, when we talk about collaboration, when we listen to Friedrich explaining, this take on design and how he's kind of pushing certain limits to explore certain fields with different experts, like how does that resonate with the German Design Council in terms of the way you perhaps also collaborate? I mean, it's all about collaboration, I can imagine.
It's all, you're right. It's all about collaboration, and it's like our task building the network or the platform, better to say, and bringing the people together. I think it's like that simple, and it's all about people, and it's all about understanding and to identify in which kind of collaboration it could work, and really then to start and with the right people, but really to...
Do you have any examples of platforms that you're, like sort of supporting, or that you're promoting, or that you're actually
yes.
leveraging?
First, I have to say we're not anymore funded by the government. We do not have any programs to support design, to bring it to the industry.
Not easy.
That's that's not easy. That's a reality, and I'm fine with that on one way, and on the other hand, I'm to talk as a politician. I would say no, it's not a good way for German industry not supporting design as a key factor. But what I wanted to say, so I'm now in the politics.
Yeah, we're talking a lot these days, Just talking and talking
yes,
and talking.
Yes, we do. But so it's more than we bring our companies together for I bring this example from Covestro together. We have a circularity design small network coming people from the product chain, so producing the chemicals, and then at the other hand there came the back company Freitag, and they said, okay, we want to become circular. And so then you have to bring together all the companies in the value chain of their material they needed to bring together to find, okay, is it possible to have the Freitag bags in the future a circular solution? Mm-hmm. So, and then bring them together. It's at the end a business task, but to learn from each other. On the other hand, and we also bring in other companies in this working group from different branches, maybe from the pharmaceuticals. We have financial institutions in, because at the end you need them all. Even you need the financial institutions to finance that. Yeah, and I think we have to. So we can only think and find solutions with cooperation, collaborations, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I can also just say that you did a project with Mono and graduates from German universities, and this also inspired us to do our collaboration, what you saw in the back. So maybe you can also say something about the collaboration with Mono and the graduates. So this was also really interesting.
Yeah, we have this German graduates program just 2 days ago that maybe I've talked a lot the last days, presented in Cologne, the annual edition, to bring together, it was this year 400 graduates from 26 German design faculties. And it was new also this year that it's not only product and industrial design, but also communication design, fashion design. And then we create some projects. We did it in the I think 2 years ago with Mono together, really to bring together different graduates, to connect them with a cutlery producing company, Mono. They visited there, they worked on new solutions, coming to what I mentioned at the beginning. Tabletop industry is looking for new solutions as well, even looking for sustainable solutions, and they worked together. There was a dialogue between them, and then finally there was a big presentation also in Berlin. Yes, and this is our task, really, to connect, and then let's do it, yeah. Bring it in.
Would you call this sort of like vertical integration, you know, or is it would we call it this way? This idea, I mean, it's I don't know.
Yes, maybe. Yes,
maybe.
Yes, I would.
No, because it seems to be some kind of like a sort of common point between what Friedrich was saying, you know, is researching, like developing, you know, certain products with like experts that are, you know, part of the cycle. This is basically the platforms you're talking about. And when you were actually also telling the story of this, you know, like community, you know, in the countryside, there's also this idea of like looking into the environment you're in and letting this guide the sort of design approach you have. So, so in terms of like indeed collaboration, like obviously you're two in the studio. How long have you been working together?
I think it started 2011 because we met in our first semester at university, and it was directly a match. So we started doing projects together, and in the end we founded our own studio.
And so collaboration is a very important thing for you, I can imagine. Yeah,
definitely. And of course, the main collaboration is the one between us. So the work as Studio Ö. And but then there are a lot of different types of collaboration. So on the one hand, we do commission projects for companies. So there's this collaboration with them, and this is super interesting to really get the insight into the company and to learn from them, to get to know their skills and history, And this helps us to broaden our perspective in a way. And then, as Lisa mentioned, we are working in different collectives like Farm, or here you can see some pictures from our collective Fan, which we founded directly after studying to really continue working as a group, which was super important during studies. And this is another space we create for ourselves, because this is a space where we can work on self-initiated themes we are interested in, and so the speed of the project is a different one, and it's more holistic in a way for us, because it's also an interdisciplinary group. And yeah, in the end we are also teaching, so that's another kind of
collaborative spirit. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
But actually, education, clearly, you know, the future of by nature. What's your involvement in education, and what's happening there for you?
Yeah, we first started working at the HFG Karlsruhe as well, so where we studied, and we started building a biodesign lab there and creating workshops, and it was a little bit like a workshop itself for all the different students. And then we, the past 3 years, we taught in Hamburg in the open design class with Konstantin Gricic. And this was super interesting, because it's, in the end, it's an art school. And so it was, the students brought different ideas or interests from social or environmental issues to formal questions and also artistic approaches. So for us as teachers, we had to also rethink a lot, or to reflect on our own practice in a way, and that was super inspiring. Yeah, and
what are you wishing to kind of cultivate in terms of mindset amongst the students you're taking care of? Like, what's the kind of like you know, the future you would hope for them to kind of like go towards?
Yeah, I think we would love them to be critical thinkers, but also sensitive observers in a way, and maybe, to put it into words, also like engaged citizens, because for us responsibility is super important, and as Lisa mentioned before, responsibility for places, for people, for processes. So yeah, we of course also want to give them freedom to explore their own interests and stories in a way. But yeah, we hope that they get a sense for context and concepts. Yeah.
If we sort of like look at the big picture of the future of German design, I'd be really interested to know, Lutz, like what would be sort of like, you know, one word or one concept that for you is representing what the future of German design is. I know it's a little bit of a tricky one, but
yes, I came back to you, what you said before I answer your question, because we talked a lot about collaboration, and for me it's important to mention one point, because I think the next step, or what I'm thinking about since the last months, is how can designers really create impact. And then we
how designers
can really create impact.
Create impact, yes.
And when we talk about collaborating and how to involve other disciplines as well, even reflecting, because I even made a picture of a wonderful industry which are willingly collaborating in projects and so on. At the end, it comes a bit to the question: are you an in-house designer? Are you a freelance designer? How to create impact? And do you really want to manage these processes? Because I always meet a lot of designers who said, I'm really working on the projects, but to get an impact in the industry, you have to understand how they work. And sometimes it's not like in the big companies, they are not really willing to collaborate, to see, but there are a lot of people in other departments who want to decide. And I think this is an answer designers have to give, and I think they should be willingly to decide and to understand the company structures and to guide. And then makes it, this is a hard way, but I think it's worth it really to create impact.
Very interesting.
Yes, I forgot your question.
No, but actually, I'd like to jump on this and ask Friedrich, what does he think about this, what you just mentioned, because it seems like it's a topic that, you know, connects pretty well with what you do.
Yes, it relates, I think, to what I said in the beginning, that we always try to really go into the companies, and first time we look at what are they doing, what are the problems they are facing, and from there on, only if we spoke to the person working there, spoke to the person in the management or whoever, and then you have a bigger picture, and then you can start to really work on the stuff you want to design or want to do.
So my question was, how, you know, if I was, if we were just having a drink somewhere and I was asking you, what is the future of German design, what would it be?
Yes, I would say it's not so simple as it has been before. Like the world is not anymore so simple like before. But I really think that this kind of solution finding, looking really for sustainable, circular solution in a way. This is kind of the future of what German design will be and still is. Yeah. And to be honest, coming back from a two weeks trip in Asia, when meeting their clients, companies, and so on, asking about what is German design, you get this answer, and even you get bored. Then you have two keywords. It's Bauhaus and it's German cars still. Yeah, this is also kind of a reality, yes, but maybe it's only a PR task. Yeah.
And for you, Studio?
Yeah, I guess it's really hard to define that for German design, but more maybe for like in a global way,
your own
or
vision of
yeah.
future.
So maybe it would be something like responsiveness or proactive responsiveness. So not in a way of like fast reactions, but more of sensing shifts and then finding ways, responsible ways in dialogue, interdisciplinary for solutions or to go on. Yeah.
What about you, Friedrich?
I think in the first place, I want to say that, yeah, I thought about diverse and that it has so many directions you can work in, and that it will be not that thing. But then I also thought, okay, but they all have in common that they find, as Lutz said, solutions. And I think, yeah, maybe we can use this word.
Solutions. All right, so I'd like to actually, we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to open the questions to the public. If anyone has a question, we can share a microphone with you. Usually there's no questions. So actually, I have a question which went back to, I have a lot of questions always. It goes back to what you were actually saying earlier, Lutz, about the experimentation and the scalability. So for me, it was a bit of a, you know, it was also reaching back to what you do, Friedrich, this idea of how do we, you know, sort of reconnect experimentation and the commercial viability. It's a wide question, right? Do you understand this question? Not really.
Thinking about it, maybe.
But you understand, like this idea of obviously pushing the limits of traditional design, experimenting. You know, Friedrich, you're like, you know, trying new projects with scientific processes. Obviously, you're doing this to push the limits of design to a certain extent, but as we know, we don't have necessarily the support from governments or other people. So how do we make this a commercial, you know, move for the future of design?
Yeah, I think it's the other way around. Companies who don't think like that will not survive. You have no other. There is no other way. If you go on, even if you have a lot of heritage, and we had talked about heritage. It's so important to learn even not heritage as even brand heritage has a value, yes, but also the heritage of how you produced before, what have you done before, and to reactivate this is important. But I think you have to move, you have to transform as a company when you will survive as your business. So it's a simple question, but then the connection must work, and the connects. Maybe this is our task to build it, and yeah.
Yeah, I think, and then it becomes even more interesting to let other people into this, like we do this all the time and it was good so, and if someone else comes in and looks on it to it, then he get another perspective, and I think then, yeah, something is happening, and then you can think about new things again.
And there were also a lot of really traditional, like handicraft products and so on, and we also have transformed it in the future. They have to find their market, even when we think about that internationally. Yeah.
And is this something that at the German Design Council you are able to support, for instance, sort of like, you know, discussing with companies and encouraging them to meet the new generation of designers, to, you know, get them to say, listen guys, I mean, you know, we're known for a certain amount of things. We need to keep innovating, meet with our talents, meet with our talents of tomorrow.
Yeah, this is our daily work, and even that's okay. That's why the companies are in our network, and that's why we say, hey, talk to the young designers, and yeah, bring them together.
And are they reacting positively? Is it?
Yes, you always have a lot of okay. We have about 300 producing companies in our foundation. So normally they're convinced. So and it makes it easier. Yes, and now we are working on reports and so and on the to show the business value of design, and then to connect the others. They're not convinced. This is the task. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Do you have anything to add, perhaps, on these topics?
Maybe just that it's super important for us also, I think for all the young designers, that the companies are really open to work with us. So that's always, of course, we struggle with that there is always a group of designers which is working with the companies, and it's hard to get in there. And so I think, yeah, that would be super interesting and helpful for all of them and us to really be open for this collaboration, because yeah, otherwise it's quite difficult to really share these ideas with the industry. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, perhaps from an idealistic point of view, but you can expect that, you know, for instance, an experience like the Rising Talents at Maison&Objet can be this opportunity to start these conversations with various brands or people who could actually connect you to, you know, to prospects or, you know, institutions or other types of brands. So hopefully you'll have some very interesting talks going on in the next few days. Well, thank you very much for your very thoughtful insights. It was really great and an honor to speak with you today. Thank you to everyone for being here. Someone has a question. Well, someone is going to give you the microphone.
I'm not sure if you talked about this in the first part, because I just arrived half an hour ago. But how do you mix German, like traditional craftsmanship, with new technologies like AI or other new materials on the market?
Who's willing to answer this question? The new talk we're starting now.
I guess it's not always a mix. So for there are always new techniques or machines or possibilities of like tools popping up, and I guess it's important to stay open and flexible to try to use them and play with them. I guess often it's first like a playful tryout, and then it gets more serious, and it becomes one tool of your toolbox, and then you can apply it when you need it. But I guess it's not always, you not always need every tool. So sometimes it's more like concentration of a material in a traditional way to use it, that it's maybe forgotten and super traditional. And sometimes it's a new technology or 3D printing or something that helps you or makes your way of prototyping super easy and way faster. So it's, I guess it really depends, but it's nice to have a broad toolbox for like that you can really decide what fits to an issue.
Thank you. You're happy with his answer? I think there was another question actually.
So German design is usually known as like a function and precision, but how do you think now with going ahead in time, art and design is going to come together with German design, because usually it's always about function. Like all the German designs we have seen so far, like which are well known around the world.
So how art and design will come together? So
Like in
sorry,
German design.
yeah.
In German design, how is like what you call experimentation is going to come together as well, because usually it's very similar in terms of functionality, right?
So it's more focused on functionality.
Right,
How
right.
is German design? How would German design integrate more art-related experimentation? Is that correct?
Yes. Correct.
Thank you.
I could only say if you look at the word function, it only you have to define it, I think, because if you say it's a function that it should be the fastest car in the world, okay, but we could also say it's the function could be maybe that it is the safest car for everyone in the world. So there are different functions what play a role, and I think what we see at the graduation show, for instance, what Lutz told in the beginning, as we see it in the universities at this moment, there a lot more views onto the world what are playing now a role, which is hundreds of functions, you could say, yeah.
Thank you very much. I think we're going to stop on this question. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the audience to be here tonight. And we would invite you to actually stay around for the ceremony of the Rising Talents Germany, which is actually going to take place here, just over there. And here, actually, sorry. Someone is saying here. So here. And thank you, and enjoy Maison&Objet, and have a lovely evening, everyone.
Thank you.